Welcome everybody to Matthew's Innovations YouTube channel, and today I am working on this video for you about the Evolution Mitering Chop Saw, and typically you'll see it cutting steel. I had some video footage, I don't know what happened to it, but yesterday I decided to cut some 8-inch aluminum plate. Now, I really like this saw, and here in this picture you can see it mounted on my workbench, and I used a couple 90-degree brackets that I screwed down to my old workbench, and then I clamped that rectangular plate onto that right angle and used it as a fence. Now I used my straight edge and made sure everything is nicely aligned. I did put some screws and lightly tacked down the Evolution saw, and I also, mind you, I had a industrial horizontal saw, but most of the time if I can, I'll get material pre-cut. However, this wasn't economical this time, so I went to a local metal supplier and picked up two 12-foot bars of 3/8 by 8-inch 6061 extruded aluminum. And so I'm like, I don't want to use a skill saw. I don't want to have two people trying to do it on my vertical bandsaw. So I went ahead and I used this setup that I already had set up for some steel angle that I was cutting for another project. And I mean, it worked fantastic. I really like the saw. And so this video, you're going to see me cutting the aluminum plate. You see I've got some clamps there. I positioned well, actually, I'll talk about it here in a second. So I'm going to go ahead and start the video so you guys can actually see the saw in action. All right, here you go. I'm doing a voiceover, and I didn't bother talking on the video when I was taking it because I'm sure it was going to be super loud. Here I'm just carefully sliding it over against that stop. As I was going to mention on the introductory, I placed my stop in the very middle of this aluminum plate, so that way when I flip it over, the stop's still going to be on the same spot, and I'll have good alignment when finishing the cutting the material. My guess is it can cut maybe 6.5 inches. I should mute that. That's horrible. I hope you guys can't hear that in the background. So it cuts pretty smooth. I had already cut a couple pieces prior to hitting record. My shop is a mess, and I got lots of things in the way, but you know, don't we all need a lot bigger shop? Then we just put more stuff. Now, right here, you can see I must have had some aluminum chips in the hole. Normally, this clamp works really well, so I had to unscrew it, then put a little bit of pressure, and then I could tighten it down. Most of the time, it worked effortlessly. Ideally, I would have this set up on a lot better platform. I'd like to take this saw and have a designated wall where I can just take material quickly up and set it up there, have plenty of room to flip it over. Maybe a little nicer setup for the stop so that I'm not having to move clamps around. But go ahead and speed this up so that you guys don't have to watch every single cut. And then right here, when you see I move the saw back because ideally you don't want full engagement all the way across the blade. If you can stagger it where the blade breaks through sooner, it just behaves better. And that I had made that change. Now that was supposed to be a thumbs up and a yes because the material was probably 170 thousandths over the 12 feet, and adding the 100 thousandths to my cut dimension to have 50 thousandths on both sides for these machined parts, I had to basically be perfect on for the width of the blade, and I ended up having like 50 thousandths extra. So I had all good pieces. I thought there was a real good chance I was going to lose my last piece, having it just barely too short for cleanup. I think right here I'm going to speed it up again. So I'll go ahead and start the summary since the video is going to come to an end. I really like the Evolution saw. I know they make some bases for it. It's kind of a spendy saw. And I'd much rather, in most cases, use this instead of a horizontal saw, because if I've got the type of quantity that I'm going to want to let a horizontal saw sit there and cut, ideally you'd have a designated saw guy just sitting there and cutting the material and doing other things while it's feeding. But I prefer just to get the material pre-cut. It comes in, it's all ready to go, and the labor of cutting, even in this instance, it starts to add up. And then you've got all the cleanup, you got, risk for a mistake. But like I said, in this case, it wasn't cost effective for me because I had no other aluminum to order, and the aluminum supplier has a minimum to have it shipped. So I had to find more stuff to buy even if I don't need it. So in this case, I went to a local supplier, and they don't offer cutting for individual pieces. So anyways, I'm going to zoom in here and you guys will get a close-up. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. I do highly recommend the Evolution saw. You can cut aluminum with it. You have to really control your feed. That's what it's about. Don't try to force it too fast. Don't cut thin edges. You don't want to break those teeth. And if you use it properly, that blade should last you a long time. So anyways, I hope you guys liked the video. Please like and subscribe. Please check back as I make more videos, and have a fantastic day. Thank you.